Good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church of Berks County. My name is Samantha Herneisen. I use she, her pronouns, and it's my joy to be part of the Worship Associates Committee. As Unitarian Universalists, we come together not with a list of required beliefs, but with a set of shared values centered on an unconditional, unshakable love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are at this moment, in the sanctuary or online, wherever you are in your life's journey, you are welcome in this community. As we are gathering, I want to extend a special welcome to anyone visiting with us this morning. If you haven't already, please take a moment to fill out one of our green connection cards in the pews and drop it in the offering basket this morning. And then please join us after the service for coffee and conversation during fellowship time in the Gerber Room. For those joining online, please take a minute to write your name in the chat box and let us know where you are joining us from this morning. You'll find the UU Berks Church web address in the chat box and a link to today's order of service. You can sign up on the webpage for our weekly e-newsletter. The connection cards can also be used to request calls and visits from Reverend John, to update your personal information, and to connect with the lay leadership of the church. Please drop those cards in the offering basket. Pastoral requests will be forwarded confidentially to the minister. For new families and our youngest members, there are a few options for being present in worship this morning. There is our new children's space at the back of the sanctuary, where Miss Erin, hi Miss Erin, is keeping an eye on things today. Or you may sit in the pews with your parents. There's also quiet nursery space just off the sanctuary through that door there. Audio of the service is available. Now let's take a moment to greet each other with a wave, or a namaste, or a smile. And as you do, please remember to wave back to our friends online. Our chalice reading this morning is We Seek Steadiness by Joan Javier Duval. This is the time for you to light your chalice, if you have one at home, while our chalice is lit in the sanctuary. As the world shifts beneath us, we seek steadiness, the unwavering support of community, the principled guidance of wise teachings, the faithful turning of the seasons. We seek within ourselves and in one another a devotion to all that is true, all that is just, all that is beautiful. We gather here to reground ourselves and to reorient towards our heart's calling. Here, we hold on to what is good, what we believe, and what we must do. With resolute and compassionate hearts, let us worship together. Please rise in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, number 126, Come Thou Font of Every Blessing.
this morning we have a story. It's a modern wisdom tale that comes to us from our Soul Matters resources. And it starts as every good story starts. Once upon a time. As a villager began his early morning stroll, can I hear some strolling sounds? He noticed that the once vibrant river looked slightly murkier than usual and contained some sludge and pollution resting on the banks. And the villager quickly went out of his way to clear the pollution and restore the flow, and he thought, all is well. That job done. But the next day, the same villager noticed 2 lifeless fish in the river. And so he, what do you think he did? Scooped them up, cleared the path, and the waters were flowing again. And he thought, all is well. That job done. But the following day, debris started to build up and the river's flow became constricting, cutting off water to the village. And naturally, the villagers organized quickly, setting up watchtowers and training teams of swimmers and environmentalists to withstand the swift waters and clear the debris. Cleanup squads soon worked 24 hours a day to keep up with the increase in pollution. And while not all the debris and fish could be removed from the river, the villagers felt they were doing as well as they could, and indeed the village priest even blessed them in their work. And the life in the village continued on that basis for many months. We have solved the ongoing problem. One day, however, a young girl was playing by the riverside and saw the pollution, and she looked off in the distance and then turned to her grandfather and asking, "Where's all this waste coming from?" And her grandfather shrugged his shoulders and said, upriver somewhere, I guess. And the little girl responded, "Well, let's organize a team to help upstream and find out who's throwing all their trash into the river in the first place." Do you think that's a good idea? I think so. So, the little girl and her grandfather brought this idea to the village elders, but the elders countered, saying things like, what do you think the village elders said? Won't work. What else? What? Too expensive. Won't work. Too expensive. Not our business. Tried that already. Yep, they said, but if we go upstream, who would take care of the rescue operation that we're so diligently working on right now? And we need every concerned person here. We can't use any of our resources and our expenses outside. And don't be ridiculous. It's too hard to travel upstream. And the girl cried, "But don't you see? If we find out who's polluting the river, we can actually stop the problem. And no fish will die." And the elders responded, "It's far too risky, and we need the help here. We can't use any of our resources for other projects to help see what's going on." And several days later, the young girl decided, "I'm just going to go upstream by myself to find the source of corruption." And upstream, she found a mountain of plastic from the building of a nearby village that was releasing chemicals into the once beautiful river and blocking up the waterways. And the girl smiled to herself and began to remove as much as she could. And as she dealt with the source of the problem upstream, the river downstream, what do you think it did? Got clearer. Got back to normal. Yeah. Much to the joy of the other villagers, including the elders, who began to think to themselves, maybe we should go upstream too. Now, what I love about this story is how it reminds us just how important it is to ask questions and look for the causes of injustice. It's not enough to clean up the harm after it happens. We need to stop it in the first place, and it takes all of us. Some of us, who work downstream, and some of us to venture up, and all of us to work together. And so we're going to sing a song to close out our story this morning. I kind of think of the little girl singing this story as she's walking upstream to this hill. And I first learned the story from Reverend John, who carried it with him from his time downstream at a place of local injustice at Delaney Hall ICE Detention Center in New Jersey. The text is, "I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul." And it's by the Peace Poets. I'm going to sing a line, and I want you to sing it back. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. I have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. I have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. I carry my people in my bones. I have people in my bones. You know the next two? I have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. I have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. I have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. We have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. We have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul. One more time with some harmony. We have not come here alone. I carry my people in my bones. We have not come here alone. And if you listen, you can hear them in my soul.
Let us open our minds and our hearts to the spirit of this community. Take this moment to call to mind all who are in need of our kindness, caring, and love. Consider if there is someone in your life, even if that someone is yourself, who needs our thoughts and our support this week, who needs to be seen and sympathized with and rejoiced with. We take this time in the service to honor those souls. Those of you online may share your joys and sorrows in the chat box, and you here in the sanctuary are invited to come forward to place a stone in our common bowl in sympathy, celebration, or solidarity. Let us sing now together Spirit of Life, first in Spanish, then in English.
Cántale tu compasión.
Please join with me now in a spirit of prayer and contemplation. Eternal, beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we come together this morning grateful for this time out of time, which we have set apart so that we might become more fully present to our own selves, to each other, to our communities, to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. May our opened hearts lead us to see beyond difference and disagreement, so that we might begin to see one another as we are, see the fullness of one another's humanity. May our hearts open beyond these walls, beyond this circle of care and concern, that we might come to acknowledge the fullness of all humanity, the reality of those we cannot see. May our hearts be opened so fully that the whole world might fall in, and we come to realize at last that we all come from the same source. We all share the same destiny, that the fate of all people are truly bound together. May the open heart we find here go with us throughout the week to come, until we can be in one another's presence again. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen. Let us be together in silence.
Our theme today connects to witnessing and responding to injustice, to the denial of human dignity, healthcare, basic nutrition, the separation of families, the infliction of suffering. I can't personally claim any great achievements in the struggle to correct injustice, but I do know a thing or two about witnessing the aftermath of suffering. I speak often and openly about my profession. I am a funeral director. It's my job to help families navigate liminal journeys following the loss of a keystone to their life, to usher families through the endless tasks that come hand in hand with the management of someone's posthumous affairs, to guide families through what must be done practically, and what options are open to them that they might not even be aware of. Most of the time, I am blessed to assist families following a death after a long life, well lived. But people die all of the time, for all different reasons. I have witnessed families trying to make sense of losses that are without clear reason, that are unfair, that are untimely, that have left a void of pain and confusion. I have been present with families trying to make meaning out of random catastrophe, to make it better, to make it make sense somehow, any way. I have been with families whose loved ones were lost to accidents, to violence, to addiction. I've endeavored to ensure that a family's final view of someone they love is not one marred by injury or suffering, and I have to live with the regret that that is not always possible. Witnessing a person's pain leaves a mark. My client's grief is not mine to grieve, but ultimately, their pain does impact me and leaves traces in my life. I believe to be human is to be affected by the suffering of another person. I believe that it is human nature to try to relieve suffering. And I believe that the greatest harm we can do to another person is to be unmoved by their pain. Witnessing grief stirs my soul. In witnessing grief, I am responsible for how I respond to someone else's pain. My love language is acts of service. My instinct is to problem solve. You can divide and conquer the logistics of a funeral and of an estate, but you can't problem solve someone else's grief. Sometimes the only response I can offer is to listen, to hear their story. In addressing questions of injustice, there are many paths for how we respond. Let us not be unmoved. Blessed be.
I don't know about you all. I am exceedingly grateful this month for the gift of air conditioning. What with the heat wave and the smoke settling down into the hills here this week, which was giving me flashbacks to living in the Southwest during wildfire season again, I thought I left all that. I am grateful that I have a home to retreat to, and that I have a workspace I can be in, where my air gets filtered and cooled, and I can be comfortable. So imagine that in the midst of this heat wave, you are living in a warehouse. You have been snatched up from your neighborhood and plopped down to live in a warehouse with 1,000 other people. And at the beginning of July, as the heat wave settles in on the eastern seaboard, the AC in the warehouse fails. That is what happened at Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey on the 2nd of July, a 1,000-bed detention facility for those who have been taken by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement for processing for eventual deportation. In the middle of a heat wave, no air conditioning. And that is par for the course in the detention centers around the country. Poor air conditions, poor food conditions, overcrowding for some, solitary confinement for others who are causing trouble or trying to organize their fellow detainees, inadequate medical care to the point of death for some. That is the story at Delaney Hall, as well as other centers around the country. If you recognize the name Delaney Hall, it's probably from about this time last year, May of 2025, when the New Jersey congressional delegation arrived at the center to take on their constitutionally mandated congressional duties to inspect a federal facility. And they were joined by the mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, and they attempted to gain entry to the facility to do their inspection. And a lot of stuff happened. And ICE tells one story, and the congressional delegation tells the other story, but the upshot of the whole thing is that Mayor Ross Baraka and Congresswoman LaMonica McIver were both arrested for trespassing. A U.S. Congressperson carrying out their duties was arrested for trespassing. This is the story of Delaney Hall, and this is the story of other facilities around the country. And that got a lot of publicity. And the reason they went to do the inspections got a lot of publicity because within months of that center opening, the detainees had gone on a hunger strike to protest conditions there. And there have been multiple hunger strikes in that facility. There was one as recently as last month as well, trying to improve conditions. Detainees are forced to work. If they get paid, it's maybe $1 an hour. And a lot of that money ends up going back into the coffers because they can buy very expensive long-distance phone access if they want it, better food from the cafeteria if they want it. It's a nice little scam they got going on. And even with the cameras away, the protests outside Delaney Hall have continued day after day, week after week. And so last month, towards the end of our General Assembly, when a call went out to religious leaders to participate in a national day of action outside Delaney Hall, I felt that a 2.5-hour drive was worth it. So last Sunday after church, I boogied out of here really quickly and packed a bag and drove out to Newark to join the protests. It was a fascinating couple of days. The action itself only lasted for an hour on Monday, but everything leading up to that was just as important. We were trained in safety and protest methods. We were taught exactly what we were going to do and when we were going to do it. We heard from speakers around the country talking about the history of what was going on in Delaney Hall and in similar facilities around the country. Reverend Naomi Tutu, the daughter of Desmond Tutu, spoke about the comparisons between apartheid in South Africa and what is going on with the immigrant situation in our country right now. And then we went out and took part in the action, which looked something like this. It was a very specific, symbolic action. In New Jersey, they've adopted the monarch butterfly as a symbol of the struggle, both for its migratory nature and as a symbol of transformation and a symbol of beauty. And then ribbons in the colors of the monarch butterfly, on which were written the names of the men and women and children who have been caught up and processed through Delaney Hall. Those who have been inside, those who have died, tied onto the fence outside the facility and onto the inner gates where the staff comes and goes, and we were there during a shift change, so there was a lot of coming and going. These big monarch butterfly paintings tied up onto the fences, sort of blocking the way. And we sang. We sang as the ribbons were tied up. We sang for an hour. We have not come here alone. Hold on, my dear one, here comes the dawn. And ICE didn't show their faces for the entire hour. For all of the safety training had, for all of the talk about the risks of being arrested or hurt or worse, nobody came out of the facility. Just the one guard who was working the gate for the people coming and going. And the worst pushback we got was this one guy kind of tantrum-like, tearing down the butterflies and walking back inside the gate, and we could watch him just kind of shoving them in the trunk of his car, and that was it, like a petulant little 12-year-old. That was the worst of it. I thought it was interesting that the expected confrontation didn't happen because they'd been so eager for confrontation up until that point. But that morning, before we had even begun the training, we got the news that Juan Sebastian Guerrero had been murdered by ICE agents in Biddeford, Maine. That is how we started our training day. So perhaps they were feeling a little skittish about any further confrontations at that point. And then on Tuesday, we gathered again and walked through the neighborhoods where immigrants had been abducted, and stencil spray-painted butterflies onto the sidewalk in those areas to mark the places where a neighbor has been taken, a family member has been taken. And they asked us not to keep this confined to Newark, New Jersey. The symbolism of the ribbons, the symbolism of the butterflies. That was the big ask for National Day of Action, that we not think of it as one location, but as something we can take back into our communities. Take this home was the invitation. And so I spent a lot of time, because I had a 2.5-hour drive home, thinking about what this meant for our community. Why did it matter that I went to New Jersey, which is not Berks County? Let me back up by saying this. The target of the action, and this was now a weekly event that will be happening outside Delaney Hall, was to get the county that Newark exists in to cease its contract with the GEO Group. The GEO Group is one of several private prison corporations in this country who are contracted to manage the various detention facilities for ICE. Somebody is making money off of all of this human suffering. When the immigration actions were announced, when Trump took office, the CEOs of the various prison corporations were ecstatic, were excited. The GEO Group was built for this unique moment in our country's history and the opportunities it will bring, said the CEO of the GEO Group. CoreCivic, another big corporation, their CEO, this is truly one of the most exciting periods in my career with the company. A brand new, huge revenue stream. And when I say a huge revenue stream, immigration detention facilities account for about 25% of the annual revenue for these private prison corporations. They're making a ton of money. And our elected and unelected officials who make the policy own stock in these corporations. A lot of people are making a lot of money off the suffering of human beings. And they're using the inherent racism that exists in the souls of a lot of people to make it happen. This immigration situation is about racism. Let's not obscure that fact, but this situation is about money. So what kind of money is happening around here? First up, GEO Group runs a facility here in Pennsylvania, in Moshannon, Pennsylvania, just a little bit outside of State College. It is the largest immigrant detention facility in the Northeast. It has about 1,800 beds. It is almost always full. So there's a target right here in our home state. But let's bring it a little closer to home. We don't have a private prison facility detention center here in Berks County, but what we do have is a county prison and a prison board that has made the conscious decision, has made the choice to hold on to immigrants who have been flagged in the ICE detention system until ICE agents can come and retrieve them back to one of the detention facilities. Initially, they were holding on to people for an extra 4 hours. But the more and more that ICE didn't have their together, and the longer it took for them to come get them, the prison board decided to extend the length of those holds to make it easier for them, first to 24 hours and now to 48 hours extra, beyond what they would normally hold someone in the prison for. And when asked why they made that decision, the answer was this: we were told, we were threatened, that if we did not cooperate, we would lose out on a federal emergency management grant, the value of which was $290,000. What we get for that $290,000, I have no idea. My Google foo has not served me well. I'm sure I could file a Freedom of Information Act request and 2 years from now maybe get an answer. But doing some other searching around, $290,000 pays for a year of a sheriff and 4 deputies. In the 18 months plus that this procedure has been going on, as of the end of June, the county had turned over 96 individuals into the federal detention system for immigrants. 96 lives for $290,000. Let's do a little math, my friends. Can I get that slide up? $3,020. We talk a lot in our circles about the inherent value of human life, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. That seems cheap. If you want to see it even cheaper, if we do the math for Moshannon Detention Center, we have no idea how many people have actually processed through there, but 1,800 beds for a 3-year $1 million contract for Clearfield County comes out to $550 a bed for 3 years. Is this the value of human life we're talking about? And we turn these bodies over to these privately run detention facilities. So Geo Group, CoreCivic are making money off this choice that our leaders in Berks County have made. And it's a choice. Plenty of other counties in Pennsylvania have elected to not comply, to not have these holds. But the Prison Board of Berks County, which includes our county commissioners, whether explicitly or implicitly, have told us that $3,020 is an acceptable price for a human life turned over into a program of mass suffering. And private prisons make money off of those bodies. Is this an acceptable price? That is the question I want to ask our commissioners. That is the question I think we should all be asking the prison board and our county commissioners. Is $3,020 an acceptable price for a human life? We need to ask uncomfortable questions because this is the power that we have as people in this country. We have the power to put that kind of pressure on our local authorities. So I'm asking you today, write to your county commissioners, write to the prison board, ask them uncomfortable questions. Prison board meets on the second Wednesday of every month at 9 a.m. The next one is August 12th. I will be there along with many of my interfaith colleagues here in Reading. We have a statement prepared that we are ready to read into the record. If you want to come watch the fun, come join me. If you want to make your own comments, there's time for that. This is the kind of pressure we have the power to put on our local authorities. We should make them squirm. Shame can be an awful emotion, and it is a powerful one, and there are more people in this country currently who need to feel a little more of it. That's what we can do right here and right now. And it makes a difference on a national level, too, lest you think this is just confined to Berks County. Because what are 96 lives to the thousands that have been swept up in the system? Here's the thing. We can instill perhaps some shame in our local authorities. It's easier to embarrass a neighbor when they sort of know you. We cannot make the CEO of a private prison corporation care about the people that they see as dollar signs in their coffers. I cannot make a CEO care. But we can make it very, very expensive for them to continue doing business in the way that they're doing business. And every community that elects to stop complying, every body that we refuse to put into the system is less money in their pockets, What we do at this level makes a difference. Setting an example makes a difference. And that's really the lesson of this week, and the lesson I got driving out to Newark earlier in the week. The power to make these changes still resides in us. They want us to feel powerless. They're counting on us looking away. They're counting on us getting complacent. Here in Berks County, ICE operates under the radar. We're not getting the flashy action that we see on the nightly news, but they're doing it. They're counting on us looking away. The power to make these changes resides in us. We have more than we think we do. And we do this for our own selves. I'm reminded of the story of A.J. Must, a lone man who during the Vietnam War stood outside the gates of the White House with a single candle every night to protest the war. And a journalist asked him, "Do you think you're going to change the country by doing this? You're one guy." And his response was, "I don't do this to change the country. I do this so the country cannot change me." This is my mantra. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Do what you can with the power that you have in the spheres where you have influence, and a difference will be made. Here endeth the lesson.
Friends, join me in 10:09 meditation on breathing. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
Speaking of things that we have the power to do in our spheres of influence, as a community of faith, we share what we can with one another. We offer ourselves through the ministries of this church by giving to and receiving from one another. One of these gifts is our financial resources. Your financial generosity makes it possible for us to live out our principles in our church and beyond our doors, keeping hope and courage and forgiveness and compassion alive. You may make a financial contribution online through the Giving app or through the baskets as they pass by in the sanctuary. This time is a time to share what you can. With gratitude we give and we receive these gifts.
Just a few announcements before we depart. First up, immediately after the service, or close to immediately after the service, I welcome the parents in our RE program to join me and Ibi and Aaron as we have a little informational meeting and some Q&A time about some changes to the religious education program that'll be coming up in the fall. And then when you're done with that, or if you don't need to be there, head on out to Reading Pride Fest and say hi to our lovely volunteers who are staffing our table there and check out what else is going on. We have a lovely day. There's apparently no more smoke in the sky, hallelujah, so enjoy some fresh air and some company with your friends. And then join us for company again on August 30th, which is coming faster than I think it is. Where has my summer gone? We will have our annual church picnic at Farming Ridge Park Pavilion in Exeter. We will have the service here in the morning in the sanctuary, and then we'll all head on over to the park for burgers and dogs and vegetarian things and whatever you all choose to bring and share with everyone. So join us for that as well. And now would you all please rise once more in body or spirit and join in our closing hymn number 1028.
We're going to sing one verse. Okay.
Friends, may life bless us and keep us, the light of life shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day, this is the one wild and precious life we have all been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.